At first glance, the Lamb appears to be a simple dialogue between a child and a young animal. The Lamb is not merely a poem about an animal or even about Christianity. It is a meditation on the possibility of innocence, the mystery of creation, and the human search for meaning. Welcome to Dr. Amanto Academy. Literature is far more than a collection of beautiful words. It is the history of human consciousness written in language. Every great poem is an attempt to answer the fundamental questions of existence. Who are you? Who are we? What is the nature of innocence, experience, love, suffering, and God? In this series, we shall not simply read poems. We shall enter them. Our objective is to examine every text from multiple perspectives: linguistic, literary, philosophical, psychological, mythological, historical, and cultural. Language is never merely a vehicle of communication. It is the architecture through which human beings construct reality. We begin our journey with one of the most extraordinary visionary poems and poets in English literature, William Blake. Published in Songs of Innocence in 1789, The Lamb appears deceptively simple, yet beneath its childlike language lies an intricate meditation on creation, identity, divinity, and the relationship between human beings and humanity and the natural world. Today, we begin our journey through English literature with William Blake, one of the greatest visionary poets in the English language. Blake was not only a poet, but also an artist and engraver. He believed that imagination was the highest human faculty and that poetry could reveal truth beyond ordinary reason. His collection, Songs of Innocence, explores the world through the eyes of purity and childhood, while Songs of Experience presents the loss of innocence and the complexities of human existence. Our first poem, The Lamb, comes from Songs of Innocence and serves as an introduction to Blake's vision of innocence, creation, and the divine. The Lamb. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and over the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. This is called by the name. This is called by thy name, for he calls himself. For he calls himself lamb. He's meek and he's mild. He became a little child. I a child and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. At first glance, the lamb appears to be a simple dialogue between a child and a young animal. Such a reading, however, remains at the poem's literal level. Blake invites us to move beyond description into contemplation. The poem opens not with an assertion, but with a question. Little lamb, who made thee? This is significant. Blake privileges inquiry over certainty. Knowledge is not presented as something inherited, but as something sought through reflection. The poem, therefore, begins with epistemology, the problem of knowing. The problem of knowing and knowledge is symbolically turning back to the time when man was created in the Garden of Eden, when he was innocent, but gaining knowledge through eating the apple, deceived by Satan, results in his punishment. Knowledge brings you suffering, and banishment from the paradise. So as a result of this, he's banished from paradise as a result of what? Gaining knowledge. So the repeated question creates here a deliberate suspension. The answer is postponed, allowing the reader to inhabit a state of wonder. Wonder for Blake is not ignorance, but the beginning of wisdom. The lamb itself functions as a multi-layered symbol. It is simultaneously a real animal, an emblem of childhood, a representation of innocence, and a biblical image of Christ himself, and a manifestation of divine creation. Blake collapses these identities into a unified symbolic structure, dissolving the boundaries between nature, humanity, and the sacred. The movement of the poem is equally important. Structurally, it progresses from question to revelation, and finally to blessing. This progression mirrors the movement from ignorance to understanding and ultimately to spiritual affirmation. Notice also Blake's language. The vocabulary is intentionally simple, almost childlike. Yet the simplicity is deceptive. Blake demonstrates that profound philosophical ideas do not require obscure language. Simplicity becomes a vehicle for metaphysical depth. The poem also reflects Blake's conviction that imagination is a mode of knowledge. The child does not arrive at truth through logical argument or empirical observation, but through symbolic recognition. In Blake's universe, imagination is not fantasy. It is a way of perceiving reality beyond appearances. Finally, the lamb should never be read in isolation. It forms one half of Blake's larger collection between innocence and experience. Innocence is not merely childhood, nor in nor is experience simply adulthood. Innocence is not merely childhood, nor is experience simply adulthood. They represent complementary modes of perception. Only by reading The Lamb alongside the tiger, our next poem, can we begin to appreciate Blake's profound vision of existence as a dynamic tension between gentleness and power, harmony and conflict, creation and destruction. Great literature never offers definitive answers. Instead, it transfers the questions we asked. The Lamb is not merely a poem about an animal or even about Christianity. It is a meditation on the possibility of innocence, the mystery of creation, and the human search for meaning. Its enduring power lies in its ability to speak simultaneously to the child, the philosopher, the theologian, the literary critic. In our next lecture, we shall turn to Blake's companion poem, The Tiger. Only when these two poems are read together does Blake's extraordinary poetic vision fully emerge, revealing one of the most profound symbolic systems in English literature. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoy exploring literature through close reading, critical theory, philosophy, and language, I invite you to subscribe and continue this intellectual journey with us. Little lamb, who made thee? Thee here means you, it's the old form of you. Who made thee? Who created you? Dost thou know? Dost thou know means these are all old form of English. Thou is not used in modern English these days. It's the same you, replace this. So dost thou is the same do you know who made you? As I'm asking the lamb. Give thee life, gave thee life, gave you life, and bid thee feed, and gave you food, and fed you by the stream or the mead. Mead is the same meadow as the grassland on which animals can graze. Or is the short form of over, like is spoken in poems. They use usually contractions like this. So, or the maid means on the grassland, by the stream, by the river, by the water. Water is symbol of life. Gave thee clothing of delight. Clothing is the same wool that is covering the body of lamb, is delightful when you touch it, when you see it. It is cute, it is delicate, it is smooth, and delight comes from touching it and seeing it. So it is also delightful for the lamb itself, because in winter and also in summertime protects the animal against cold and hot weather. So softest clothing, woolly bright. The brightness here is the source of light, source of happiness, warmth, and light that comes from the sun. The sun that is a symbol of the sun with S-O-N, that is the Father, the Son, means the Creator, the same. making all the vales rejoice. Vales means the same valleys, means like the meadows and the mountains and the valleys, all the nature are full of joy, and they are rejoicing, they are happy, they are enjoying the life granted upon them by God. Little lamb, who made thee? Again comes back to this question that started at the beginning, the first line, then comes back to this question again, that after all these that we see in front of our eyes and we perceive and we are saturated kind of with all this delightful rejoice that we gain from the nature, comes back to the same old question, the question that started at the beginning of life and time and old ancient times, even from the very beginning human being started asking the source of himself, asking the source and the origin of creation, origin of humanity and the nature. So we are turning back to the old question that was raised at the beginning of the time. At the time, I mean the time of human history. So, little lamb, I'll tell thee, is trying to find a solution for this question, find an answer. Human being has always attempted to find a solution and answer for all these unanswered and unanswerable questions about the nature of life and the origin of a human being. But because of this, he is able to create mythical stories, legends, fables, even novels, philosophy, literature, in a constant attempt to create kind of meaning for this life through finding the answers that are acceptable to the logics of human being. He's called by thy name. So again, is going back to the same generalization. Says, I will tell you who created you. He's called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. So this is not actually the true discovery of the answer, but this repetition of what we have been taught. We have been taught maybe within our genes, we have all these codes that he's called by thy name. Thy name means here your name. So this is the same possessive pronoun of thou. And then says, for he calls himself a lamb. This is the word of God, that he calls himself a lamb. So I call you the lamb, and I similarize you. This is kind of simile created between this lamb and the God that is referring to the alluding to the innocence that we witness in the existence of lamb and the nature of God. He is meek, he's mild. These are not descriptions of God, but at the same time is identifying these characteristics with lamb. Meek means kind, smooth, and mild, gentle, and he became a little child. when he was born, same Christmas time. I a child and thou a lamb. So now I'm a child like God, and God was a child, and thou, and you are a lamb, but we are of the same nature. In fact, both of us come from the same source. Both of us come from the same innocence that was found in the Garden of Eden, but later is contaminated. And what we see in the later poems, we find the traces of that contamination that made man to be banished, made man be banished from the paradise, Garden of Eden. We are called by his name, means, see, from the beginning starts with the question, comes down to the point when unifies everything. The Lamb, the God, and himself, the speaker, to conclude that everything is from God and everything is the same God. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. So God bless you, and you are blessed, and God is also as blessed, and I am also as blessed.